Welcome to day 14 of our 40-day meditation experience. Meditation sadhana. Today in our meditation we focus on how can we align the ego to infinite being, to that source being within, that infinite consciousness. Let's begin by centering in the stillness of being, that we may observe the entirety of the inner space. Observing being. And now remember the word being. Pure being. Pure consciousness. As you seek to center in that, your ego is seeking to center there. And as the ego seeks, and as it grows, its consciousness continues to be limited. So observe the limitation of the ego in its knowingness, knowing that infinite self, that infinite being. Having a relationship with it. Begin to observe the limitation of how much we don't know, or how much we haven't experienced, how much there is yet to know. The desire within us and the curiosity should be, how can I as an ego expand consciousness? Hold the assurance that infinite consciousness is already inside of us. We simply need to uncover it. It's already inside. Infinite being is already inside. Infinite being is already at the center of our being. It is what is manifesting in us through the ego. Infinite being is manifesting in and through us as the ego. So infinite being is nothing else but the ego in limited expression. Seek to understand this. This is where the Action of Shakti is. The power of knowledge will help you to go deeper into the practice. Infinite consciousness is nothing but the ego in limited expression. So your ego is centered in infinite being. In that, I, my ego, lives, moves, and have its being. Aham Brahma Asmi. My aham, my I, is Brahman. It is centered in infinite being. Hold this within you and expand your ego. Open the mind to do that. Open the heart to do that. Open the awareness as much as you can to observe everything within you and how conscious you are. And that's how you find the edge. That's how the ego finds the edge. Staying highly alert, highly conscious, not distracted, and just observing in the inner space. So the goal should be wanting to be completely still, not distracted by thoughts. Completely unburdened in the heart. Loving being. Loving being. And use your Ichha Shakti, your will, as much as you have to stay centered, to stay conscious, to stay loving, unconditionally loving, to stay non-judgmental, observing without concluding. And honor your ego where it is. Don't try to push the ego beyond. And then observe the breath within you. The breath moves by the evolutionary energy that comes out of that infinite being. That infinite being projects its energy into the space that we call Kundalini. She's the one who's breathing in and through you. You're thinking, your ego is thinking, it is breathing, but it's the infinite consciousness operating through its energy. The evolutionary energy, infinite energy. That is the doing. It is moving the pranas within you. It is moving the breath. It is activating the brain. It is activating the senses. So the best thing you can do is begin to understand that it is not I. It is the infinite that is doing. In and through me. And that is the posture of the I. I am simply an instrument in the hands of the greater power. I'm not the doer. In the same way, like a wind blows through a flute, and the wind is creating the music, not the flute. Flute is only an instrument, a wind instrument. In the same way that the electricity is moving the fan. It's not the fan, it's the electricity. Same, your ego is simply an instrument through which the infinite does. It moves. It moves the breath, it moves the voice. It powers up the senses, it powers up the brain. So understand this. And in your meditation, begin to let go of the sense of doership and begin to observe the breath moving by the power, evolutionary power in the inner space. And when that happens, there's flow. There's flow in the breath. There's quietness in the mind. There's more observing. There's lovingness in the heart. Every motion moves with the love of the heart. Stay with me now in the silence. This should be the practice. Stay with me. That's what I'm doing. My every movement is inspired by flow. Body becomes an instrument. Mind becomes an instrument. Heart becomes an instrument. Chakras become instruments. And flow happens. That's the goal. To work in flow. Let your ego, the apparent doer, the illusionary doer, let it be simply an instrument. Don't deny the ego. It's an instrument. So long as you are in limited expression, your ego is an instrument of the divine. Let's take this into the meditation. Slowly come back into body awareness. Bring more oxygen into the body until you feel that your head is clearer, your senses are more alert, energized. You can see, you can smell, you can taste, you can hear, and you can touch. In a better way. And those of you who feel the power of the chakras, just charge it up a little bit with the breath. There's a mini bhastrika at every center. Yes. Let her guide you. And bringing the body back to aliveness and alertness. I need to talk with you and I need to use the body expressively. So I need to do what I'm doing. Okay, so we end the meditation with the Om sound, breathing out through the mouth, in through the nose. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Just remember what Shanti means. It means peace. So when you're saying it, you should be associating it with peace. Just a reminder to you. Shanti, peace. Exciting subject today. How can I use my ego to transcend it? How can I use that same thing that I need to transcend to go beyond as the instrument? Some of us, we don't want to get rid of the ego. We love this I. We love to be recognized, to be rewarded, to be praised. We love the ego, especially when all is going well. And then when all isn't going well, ego becomes sad, becomes depressed, becomes lonely, becomes a victim. Same ego. On one hand, way up in the sky, elated, and on the other hand, down in the dumps. That's the story of Mr. Ego and Miss Ego. How do you use the ego to transcend it? The moment you can recognize that the power that created the universe, the power that sustains it, and the power that dissolves it, is active everywhere and within you. There's a power in the universe. I'm not the ultimate. There's a power in the universe. So that recognition is important. If you don't recognize this power, how are you going to honor it? How are you going to find it? How are you going to merge in it? How are you going to relate to it? How are you going to develop a relationship to it? So it's extremely important to recognize it. In the early days, people recognized it as the powers of nature. And then they had different nature gods, god of the wind, god of the sun, god of the lightning, god of the earth, goddess of the earth. Some female, some male. Because we recognize the power in the universe that is beyond us, the ego. So we started to worship. So worship become outer. It's a step, but it's not the ultimate step. And then as the ego becomes a little more conscious through its life experiences, and begins to feel that somewhere inside, inspiration is coming into the mind. Thoughts are coming to the mind. Knowledge is coming to the mind. Dreams are coming to the mind with information. There's a power inside. And when somehow some wise being comes and tell us, that God is within you. The power of the universe is within you. And through the power that are wielded with those words, the words become charged. We begin to think different. No, your heart is capable of more love. Search within. Look within. There's love within you beyond measure. Like the words of the Christ, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God, but they shall experience God. That's what he meant. Or the mystics, Eastern mystics say, you have a third eye. These two are human eyes, but you have a third eye. You can see more. You can see another realm. And by the force of their words and presence, we begin to feel an awakening within us. And we begin to recognize that there is a world inside, a power inside. And when we meet the Shaktipat gurus, and they're so strong, their presence is so electrifying. Not only knowledge comes to us that resonates with us, but heart feels lifted. Our actions feel different. Our feel as though something is coming into it and reorganizing it. Power of Shaktipat. Especially if we are curious, we want to grow, we want to learn, we want to know more, we want to uncover more power in the human experience, then the Shaktipat comes. Out of need, out of want, out of desire. The universe brings before us or takes us to those who have the Shaktipat. And then we begin to experience the more love, the more peace, the more flow. We begin to experience it. And that makes a world of a difference. I'm sure you will agree. That's what happened to me. I was seeking love so powerfully and seeking management of my thoughts. And then I began to feel my heart opened up. So much so that the kirtan, the words of the chanting, came out naturally. And I felt as though I was walking in, in clouds, floating. Those are my initial experiences of Shaktipat. And oh my God, this power can guide. And throughout my time in India that year, I was 21, I simply wanted more of this. I wanted to float when I'm doing things. I wanted to sing with flow. I wanted to move in flow. And it would come and it would go. It would come and it would go. And it would come and it would go. Especially when I mixed with those outside, it would disappear. And I would, like if I had to go to the city in Mumbai for something, oh my God, in the trains, with the people, and then somehow I'd lose it. And then I would start chanting again inside, quiet and chanting, and it would come back. And I learned how to keep it. After 4 months in India, and I traveled through India, I learned how to keep it. And that's why I decided to come back to this country of my birth. Because I kept it. I kept it. I kept the discipline, I kept the flow. Oh well, grace kept the flow for me. Because every time I got into the intention of being more loving and being more peaceful and sitting in my sadhana, she would come into space and she would just open up the space gently. But she'd only take me so much, and I realized that this is a karmic play. I cannot force this thing. She's doing it with me. And so I had to work this with her, co-create. But the important thing was that my ego learned how to work with her and the flow in her. So I became less and less of a doer, but a happy instrument, happy to flow with her, happy to be energized as an ego in flow. So I had this noble ego because I simply wanted to do only good. I wanted to see good, hear good, speak well. I wanted to do everything that was good. Nothing. I didn't want to owe anybody anything. I didn't want to treat anybody in any way. I became the humblest person. That was the posture of my ego. And that's what I kept until the 40 days came. Of course, I went back to meet Baba Muktananda in the story I've told. And when I was able to observe a being in flow far beyond me, I was fledgling like a child. This was huge. To see him chant, to see him move, to see him speak. Oh my God. It was the most amazing thing for me. Most amazing. And I said, that's what I want. That's what I want. That's what I want. That's what I want. Ultimately, 40 days happened. Incredible. Mother Kundalini co-created this space for 40 days. And that's when I surrendered my ego completely to her actions. And that's where she took me into the beyond. And I know I had to be deserving for that. You cannot go there. You cannot live in both worlds. So necessarily your ego is going to undergo a heavy transformation. There's going to come a point when you don't even know who you are, what you want, what is your purpose, what's the next step. That was my 40 days. But I held on to her. And she took me step by step into the beyond. So the ego has to posture in such a way that this marvelous energy that comes out of that infinite being That's the energy of the infinite being. Can guide us, can lead us. You are students of Kundalini MahaYoga. You will get the same guidance that I got. You'll get the same experiences that I got. But you need to protect yourself from the influence of the outer space that can influence the ego and go back to old patterns of thinking. You have to protect yourself. And I did that. Sadhana becomes very important. Association in your social circles becomes very important. You have to know who to associate with. And she will guide you. You will feel it as a sixth sense, as we say. You will feel it inside of you that I don't want to resonate with this group. I don't feel like it. And if per chance you want to resonate with those groups, then you still have more work to do. Ego is still strong. Are you able to surrender the ego in sadhana? When you're chanting, can you stay in the flow of energy that is in the chanting? When you're relating to anyone, can you relate from the energy perspective? Can you be loving? Can you be kind? Can you be compassionate? And can you be forgiving? A lot of us, we say, we forgive, but we don't forget. How can you forgive and not forget? That's not forgiving. True forgiving means forgetting. And then, quick to judge. The Master said, judge not that ye be judged. The words of the Christ. You know, I grew up loving the Bible first. Judge not that ye be judged. Learn never to judge. Never to judge. Never to condemn. You heard what he said? Go and sin no more. He forgave the one who transgressed. Go and forgive no more. Go and sin no more. Forgiveness was natural. He said, how many times should we forgive, Master? 70 times 7. As much as necessary. Infinite. So, the posture of the I, the ego, becomes very important. And that ego that begins to recognize the inner power, that ego that begins to relate to the inner power, that ego that becomes an instrument of that inner power, is the ego that will become free. It is the ego that will get into such a state of transcendence that there will be doing, but my ego will feel it is not doing anything. It's just flowing. That's transcendence. I'm doing because something is doing inside of me, but I am not doing. As ego, I'm not doing. This thing is doing inside of me. We call it flow. We call it in the zone. But the great dancers, the great instrumentalists, the great martial arts, they are in flow. Look at them, they're in flow, they're in flow, they're in flow, they're in flow. The dance in flow, the speak in flow, the think in flow, the act in flow, they're in flow. Remember those words, flow. In your sadhana, are you yet in that place of flow? Learn to let go of the ego, learn to flow. And exercises such as Qigong or the yoga, the flow yoga. It's amazing. That's how my exercise. It is in flow. My speaking to you is in flow. My thinking is in flow. My life is in flow. Yours can be too. Align to the infinite consciousness and the evolutionary energy and stay in flow. Let your life be one of flow. I always say, don't fight with the universe, flow with it. Don't fight with the universe, flow with it. So it's our 14th day of meditation sadhana. I hope that you're excited so far. I'm excited reading your journals and seeing the various experiences that you have. I'm thrilled. Thank you, everyone, for the opportunity to express myself fully, myself, my bigger self, fully, in and through this beautiful tiny self, this beautiful ego self. My ego has no power without that. That's why I love the ego. It is powered by that. It is happy in that. It is restful in that. It meditates in that. Kundalini tells me when to breathe, how to breathe, how to move the body. I do it in her and with her. I breathe in and with her. I go into meditation with her. I stay in the meditation with her. I come out of the meditation with her. And I go into the world with her. No better companion. Absolutely no better companion. Have a blessed day, everyone. Happy Friday. Namaskar.